right, we get it rolling on the Krug Show. A little sunburn from day one from 49er camp. But here we go on July the 26th, 8:54 on the West Coast, 11:54 on the East Coast. We are brought to you by Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Pig in a Pickle. Check them out. They're in Corte Madera and in Emeryville. They're open 7 days a week in both spots. From 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. or until they run out. All right, we're going to talk a little 49er football and recap day one of training camp. But before we do, my son was joining me here a second ago, and somehow he got deleted. Here we go. We add him back to the stream. What happened, Kev?
I lost audio for a sec, but I'm back.
There you go. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about the good and the bad from Niner camp, and I was there, as you can tell. That's why I've got sunburn. I may have to go to my hat tomorrow, or go to some severe lotion tomorrow, or I'm going to be a lobster by the end of the week. Should have went with some more lotion today. I'm watching the Giants and the A's. Giants with a 5-3 lead on the A's. Bottom 8 at Oracle Park. Giants looking to get a win. They just pinch hit for Marco Luciano, who supposedly hit the Coke bottle in BP today. Did you see that?
I did not.
Supposedly,
I did not hear about that.
Marco Luciano hit the Coke bottle. Anyway, we're talking Niners though, and Callie Young says, "Larry, you need a bucket hat, bro." I know.
Yeah, you are super red right now. Holy damn.
I know. Spaghetti says, "I can see your shades outline. My $5 shades. Don't forget, I'm hyping $5 shades, and they're actually doing
popular.
Nice.
Yeah, those are very popular in the comment section.
So, why don't we do this? We can get into the good, the bad, the ugly. If there's anything, I would say there's been a lot of overreaction to day one of camp. Why? Because it's day one of camp, and the 49ers are a Super Bowl contender, and everybody wants to talk about it. MF says the White Sox have just traded Lucas Giolito to the Angels. Really? The Giants made a trade today, Mauricio Lovera to Boston for somebody named Marcus Johnson. But we're going to talk football. Yeah, seriously. If you know anything about Marcus Johnson, let us know what you think. But let's talk about 49ers. What's that?
Come on the show.
What's that? Have him on the show.
If you know anything about that player.
Yeah, seriously. If you know anything about Farhan's latest trade acquisition, Farhan is the king of just trading for just nobodies. Nobody is traded for.
We can't talk about this.
We won't.
Save that for another show. But I want to.
Yeah,
I do want to say
we're gonna go for 1 hour because Kev's got to go to bed so he can get up early, and I've got to go to bed as well so I can get up and get more sunburn tomorrow for day 2 of camp. But today I was there, start to finish. We talked to Kyle Shanahan afterwards, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and who else was at the podium today? Deebo, Kittle, and Eric Armstead. Eric Armstead.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyway, let's get into it. As far as
my room is dirty as ever, and I'm excited to hear some of these
clean
answers
that thing
to
up.
these questions.
Look at that room. Look at that room. It's just a mess.
Also, I want everyone to know that I'm not this, even though this is my second Niner stream in a row on the channel. This is more of a technicality. Let's just say that due to other people being busy. Other people.
Well, what you don't want to come on? You don't want to be a regular on the Krug show?
No. I just wasn't at camp, obviously. So
no, you're not at camp.
I have no insight to what happened at camp today, but I'll try to lead a discussion.
I have enough insight for both of us. How about that? I have all the insight, and you just serve it up. But let me hit a couple of these chats here. Rick Colleen says, Krug! Third string All-Pro says, late night with the Krugers. Callie Young says, Larry, my dog. Let's effing go. What's good, Kevin?
What's up?
Max Thunder says, "Hey Krug, awesome work today. Did you figure out how to pronounce Spencer Wage's name? By the way, I believe it's Wagee. Wagee. I talked to Tim Ryan, MF. That's right. I talked to Tim Ryan. I walked up to Tim Ryan. And I'm like, T-Rock. I'm like the best color analyst in the country." And we embraced. I love Tim Ryan, man. Tim Ryan. And as I'm walking up, he's taking a big pinch of Skull, and I'm sitting there. I got the whiff of the wintergreen. It brought me back to my dipping days. Brought me back to my days when I dipped. But it's a terrible habit. Don't ever start. Okay. Trock says, "Not gonna lie, Kevin could be a real life South Park character."
I'm not sure what that means.
I'm not sure if that's a rip on Kev.
I'll take it.
Tim Donaghy's Cruise is watching Krug 2 with my own son. Good times. All right. I like that. Callie says, "Larry, you need a bucket hat, bro." I know. I absolutely do. All right, let's get into it.
Why don't we get right into it? Yeah.
Yeah, let's get right into it.
So
Callie says, "Get Kev a credential." Not easy to get these days.
Most important thing from camp that everyone wants to know about is the quarterback battle. We haven't done a video on it, and people want to know what you thought of the quarterback battle. I know that you put out your own stats, but since I don't think they're super credible, I'm going to go with Grant Cohn's quarterback stats. But we can go.
Which are basically the same as my stats.
Close, but this is what Cohn has. He has Trey Lance 7 of 10, Sam Darnold 5 of 8, Brandon Allen 1 of 5. Do you want me to read you yours? Yours are pretty much the same. Yours are
well, okay. So wait a second. I was going with the team portion only. If he's going through 7-on-7, first of all, camp stats mean dick. But if you're going to go to 7-on-7 camp stats, that really means nothing. So I'm not going with 7-on-7 camp stats. I'm just not.
All right. Well, then your numbers are Trey Lance 4 of 5, Sam Darnold 2 of 4, Brandon Allen 0 of 4. Yeah. What did you think of the quarterback? Let's go player by player here. What did you think of Trey Lance today?
Well, did you see Mayoko's comment where he said that Trey Lance was all over the place in the early portion of practice, and then he looked good later in practice? I don't care about the stats because the stats don't mean anything. So I'm not going to lean on the stats. What I see with Trey Lance is I see a motion where he rests the ball. He no longer rests the ball at the hip. He's resting the ball up closer to the ear. So he's got a shorter throw from where the ball rests to where he releases it compared to when he used to have kind of a loop and he had to bring it up and it was just an elongated motion. Anytime you can streamline your motion, that's a good thing for your consistency because it's just like anything else. If you have a really long swing in golf, there's more spots for you to have screw-ups in your swing. And if you have a really long wind up as a quarterback, there's more areas for you to have problem areas and inconsistency in your throwing motion. So I think it was smart for him to get with his throwing coach and streamline his throw. And I think that it definitely the loop is gone and it's more streamlined. It's cleaner. He's closer to the release point. And I thought he looked pretty good. I don't think it was like spectacular. Like, oh my God, Trey's looked awesome, but it was definitely improved. And I thought he looked pretty good. And overall, I would say that he more than just his throwing and how many did he complete, he looks more comfortable. He just looks more relaxed. And what does it all mean? I don't know, because it's camp, and I don't know that it means anything really. Trey has had good days in the past, but it's about consistency. Can he put it together consistently? And I thought today he looked pretty good. I thought of the three quarterbacks that I saw, I thought he looked the best.
Yeah. He was in your stats, he was 4 of 5. Obviously I wasn't there, but he completed his passes. Was there anything in sevens that was different from the team drills?
In 7-on-7? No, I thought he threw the ball. I mean, the ball came out for the most part on time. There were some slight inaccuracies, but I thought he threw the ball pretty well, and he looked like he was in command. He looked comfortable. I think he's going to have a good camp. I absolutely do. Darnold, on the other hand, and first of all, a lot of the throws were short. Like they weren't taking a lot of shots down the field. But you know, he looked okay. He looked okay. And Darnold, I thought looked, just kind of mediocre. And we can sit there and, I hear people, on 3rd and 7, he hit a 15-yard. Show me where it says it's 3rd and 7. I'm standing right there. I'm not seeing anybody saying 3rd down and 7 yards to go. I'm not seeing that. So either guys are making that up, or it's just like he hit a 3rd and 7 pass for 15 yards. Where did it say 3rd and 7? I didn't see where it said 3rd and 7. But I don't know. I was a little distracted. There were some people from the Niners who came over and were talking to me a little bit during the team session, so I probably should have honed in a little tighter. I promise I will going forward. But I thought overall, Trey looked a little bit better than Sam. What? Yeah. Why are you throwing your hands in the air?
We need you to be locked in on every play. No, I'm kidding.
No, but it means nothing. It absolutely means nothing. Yeah. Trey had some great days last year. We're talking about T-shirts and shorts. The sport is played with pads. If you have no pad, they're going to put pads on in day 5 of this thing, and we're going to see guys wearing pads. And you still can't hit the quarterback, but at that point, then we're talking. Once you put the pads on, you can actually. Today was more about who's in shape, who's not in shape. Who's. How comfortable do guys look out there? Like for example, Grant thinks that Jordan Mason didn't look good because he dropped a pass and had a fumble. Who cares? It's at the beginning of the year. He looked great. He's 230 pounds. He looks faster. He looks more sudden. He looks explosive. That's far more important than he dropped a pass or he fumbled. He had one fumble. I mean, this is early in camp. This is the first day of camp with no pads. So I mean, it's just once again. I mean, people get a little bit of little wrapped up in, this is not Super Bowl Sunday. You can't judge this like a regular football game. And, a fumble's obviously never a good thing. A drop pass is never a good thing. But you know what? What's more important is what kind of work did the guy do in the offseason? And Jordan Mason's in great shape. To me, there were some real positives. The real positives today were, first of all, the running backs. Let's start there. Christian McCaffrey did not participate in the team portion. He came out for the individual running back drills, but then when it got to the team portion of practice, they backed him off because why not? They're not going to overuse these guys. And Jordan Mason and Ty Davis Price and Kalen Laburn all really look good. Laburn is compact and powerful. He had a couple real nice plays. Jordan Mason is 230 and fast. Ty Davis Price is basically the same. He's 220, 225 and fast. I thought Ty Davis Price and Jordan Mason and Kalen Laburn all looked really good. So that was the first. The running backs really shined. If Ty Davis Price, can have a real nice, second year, and that's where you see the biggest improvement is year 1 to year 2. And Jordan Mason and Ty Davis Price really looked impressive today. And Laburn is a little bit of a sleeper. He started at Florida State. He was a 5-star recruit. He went to Marshall. He had over 300 carries last year. I mean, they used him a ton. And he's got power. And he's got, he can run through arm tackles. He can catch the football out of the backfield. He had a really nice run today. So that's the first thing that jumped out to me was Laburn, Price, and Mason. And these guys are not slated to be the starter or the backup. McCaffrey's slated to be the starter. Elijah Mitchell's supposedly going to be the backup. But Jordan Mason, Ty Davis-Price, and Kalen Laburn all really jumped out to me. They all look good.
Yeah, that running back battle is going to be fierce. The one thing I will say is that a lot of those undrafted running backs were not highly ranked in anyone's scouting reports. So I could see them just being more of a practice squad running back that slips through waivers. I don't see why they wouldn't. I don't even know if some of those running backs that they took weren't even ranked in Brugler's extensive like undrafted free agent list.
Yeah, but what does that mean? I mean, Jordan Mason wasn't ranked highly the year before.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not sure how much, how many teams would be quick to grab Kalen Laborn from the 49ers if they were to, because there's going to be competition.
Well,
who are they going to drop? TDP.
I think Laborn's a real talent, and if he plays well, there's 3 preseason games that you got to practices with the Raiders. It's day 1 of camp. We'll see. The truth is the difference between the undrafted guys and the guys who are drafted are not that significant. And Laborn's 5'9", about 210 pounds. He's got great balance, great power. We'll see. They'll probably try to hide him as much as they possibly can. But he looks good to me. So that was the first thing. The running backs look good. As far as the quarterbacks, Trey looked good. I would say Sam looked just okay. Brandon Allen had one really nice throw down the field, but he didn't complete it to Danny Gray. Other than that, Allen didn't complete a pass. But, it wasn't like Allen was like some circus. Kyle Shanahan really talked up Brandon Allen, which makes me kind of wonder, what the deal is. In fact, there was a Mike Silver article saying that, that Kyle's really in love with Sam Darnold. There's no doubt that Purdy's the number 1 guy. And then you've got Brandon Allen and you've got Trey Lance. So they've got 4 quarterbacks, and it's going to be quite a competition. It's going to be quite a competition. Brock's going to practice tomorrow. And I would imagine he'll get most of the reps with the ones. The interesting revelation, I think, on the quarterbacks was Kyle Shanahan's sit down with Tim Kawakami on the TK podcast, where he basically said, it's going to be really almost borderline impossible for Trey Lance or Sam Darnold to beat out a healthy Brock Purdy. If Brock Purdy's healthy, he's going to be your week 1 starter. There's always a chance that he has a setback. There's always a chance of an injury. But if he's healthy, he's going to be the guy. He's the best quarterback they have. And I don't think it's even close. So, but Lance did look good, and I would imagine he's going to play well this summer. I'm on record as saying that all 4 Niner quarterbacks are going to play well in the preseason, and I'll stick with that. I think Purdy's going to play well. I think Lance is going to play well. I think Darnold's going to play well. I think Brandon Allen's going to play well. Why? Because all these guys are decent NFL quarterbacks. Nobody's a bum, and they've got a great play caller, and they've got great weapons. Let's talk about those weapons, because to me, if there was the biggest story of the day, is that Brandon Ayuk looks phenomenal, and Deebo Samuel's in the best shape maybe that I've ever seen him in with the 49ers. And those 2 guys alone, if they have bust-out years, can take the 49ers from, very good team that's a contender to the front runner in the NFC. Ayuk made 1 catch, and he just looks like he wants to take on the world. He just looks like he looks like a guy that he wants to get paid. He wants to tell everybody how good he is. He's brash. I love it. And he's, Grant said it'll be like less than a week before some defensive player wants to fight Brandon Ayuk. That's great. He's cocky. He's confident. And he believes in himself. Debo's in incredible shape. Those guys are primed for huge years. And that, I think, is probably the biggest story. The biggest story that I saw is that is that these guys are ready to roll, and they look really, really good. So that was the biggest story, was how good Debo looked and how good Ayuk looked. Those guys both look like they're going to have Pro Bowl kind of years. And if you get two Pro Bowl receivers to go with George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey, you've got great, great looking weapons. The downside on the offense to me was that some tight end not named George Kittle has to step up as the number 2 guy. And I don't have tons of confidence in Warner and Dwelly. And then Latu today didn't look great. I mean, for a 3rd-round pick, I don't know. It's one day. We'll see how the rest of the camp goes. But Willis and Latu are rookies that have to step up, and I didn't think either necessarily showed anything today that made me say, "Oh yeah, watch out for those guys." The Niner offensive line also they struggled to run to the right behind McKivitz. You know, McKivitz is a really good pass blocker, but can he run block? So, to me, the big question on offense is, or at least based on what I saw today, is can they run block on the right side of their line, and who's tight end 2? Do they have a second tight end that's can take that second tight end job? So those were the big questions on offense.
Let's go back to that Debo comment. You talked to Debo today, and you asked him about boxing. Did you? And he responded with that. Doing those 3-minute rounds really helps him, burn fat. Did he look any leaner to you?
He's in great shape. There's no question. He's in the best shape I've seen him in since he's been a 49er. And he said, just kind of gets your wind. I asked him about what he likes about the boxing, and he's like, it's 3-minute rounds, and it takes a long time, and you got to have endurance. And just gets him in great shape, and he looks like he's in terrific shape. He came out and said, I was terrible last year, and that is not true, but you know what? It was good to hear him say it. And when Shanahan was asked about it, he's like, yeah, I'm glad he feels that way. It's, Shanahan kind of admitted that's probably over the top, that he probably, he was not terrible last year by any stretch, but if he thinks he's terrible, good. He's a motivated player. So you got a motivated Debo, you got a motivated Ayuk, and they look prime for bust-out years. And if they do both have bust-out years, the Niners are going to be really good offensively.
The other thing that I was thinking about is everyone's talking about Brandon Ayuk, how he's improved, right? I remember last year he was having some type of, argument with Shanahan that stopped him from getting playing time earlier in the year. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, I mean, he definitely was in the doghouse there for a while.
Does he carry himself any differently from what you've seen? Because you know how it is. It's like when you don't like a coach, it's like you don't want to be there sometimes. I'm wondering is he one of those guys that's running to every drill? Is he leading the way? Is he trying to be a leader? Has he changed his whole motto maybe? Because since then?
No, I don't think he's changed. He's always been a guy who plays hard. He just I don't think last year, I don't think he put as much attention into the details of being a great route runner. He rounded off a lot of his routes. I think this year he's going to run his routes. They're going to be more crisp. He's going to be, there's so many facets of playing wide receiver in the NFL. And I just think that he's kind of challenging himself to get to that next level.
I'm looking to take him in fantasy. I'm going to say that right now.
Debo or Ayuk?
Ayuk. Debo's pretty overvalued. Not overvalued, but he's set pretty high. He's like a second.
I mean, the 49er receivers are always difficult to take in fantasy because there's so many weapons.
So many mouths.
They run the
so many mouths.
They run the ball a lot. I mean, always drip 805 says Larry. Danny Gray today wasn't that great. Is there a drop-off? I thought Danny Gray looked good. Danny Gray's in absolutely fantastic shape. He made one really, really nice play. I heard that as well. People were saying that Danny Gray didn't look good. I totally disagree. Now, early in camp, it's about what are you looking for? I'm looking for guys who show you by the way they move on the field that they did the work in the offseason, because it's day one. There's nerves, the crowd's there. It's not about your exact production on day one. It's more about your conditioning. And, show me usually by looking at a guy's physique and conditioning, did he put in the work? And Danny Gray put in the work, and he's definitely improved. Now, he needs to get better. He needs to improve more. He needs to improve his route running, his hands. Every aspect of playing wide receiver he needs to improve. But Danny Gray put in the work. I think Danny Gray, and Shanahan said it. It's like he was asked about Danny Gray, and he's like, look, there's 3 levels, and if Danny Gray's operating, if he's doing his thing, then the Niners have a threat on all 3 levels. And that's why I think Danny Gray's got a real great opportunity to make the team, because nobody can run like him. He's the fastest guy in the entire team. He's a true difference maker with the ball in his hands or just stretching the field. He can make he can take the top off the defense. He can make safeties and cornerbacks nervous because he can run right on by. So I thought he looked pretty good. Now, he wasn't perfect, but I think he's going to have a good camp. And he's in absolutely great shape. He's in better shape than he was a year ago. I think Danny Gray looks really, really good. And I'm not going to be overly critical on day one of every aspect of his game. Give it a couple practices. Let's see him with the pads on. Let's see him get into a rhythm. It's no different than a baseball player. You don't go to spring training and on the first at bat of the first Cactus League game, you start making these conclusions of, oh my God, he struck out. His bat's slow. He's going to have a bad year. It's the first fucking at bat of spring training. Only a total jerk off would sit there and draw all kinds of negative conclusions on one at bat from the first Cactus League game. That essentially is what today was. It was like the first Cactus League game. So it's more about, does he have bat speed? And in this case, does he have foot speed? Has he worked on his body? Has he worked on his routes? Does he look like a guy who laid around all off season? And he doesn't. He looks good. He looks stronger, bigger, more explosive. I think Danny Gray's going to have let's give it 4 or 5 practices before we say that Danny Gray didn't look good. I thought Danny Gray looked really good because I'm looking for conditioning. I'm looking for explosiveness. I'm looking for an improved player from what we saw a year ago. There's no doubt in my mind he was improved today from what I saw last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Cuts don't happen after the first practice. I mean, I think the way that you're evaluating is fair because you're evaluating based on what the person looks like and how they're running. Things that don't really change from practice to practice, like their body type, their speed, how they look, stuff like that. You can have a bad practice. You can drop a ball. I mean, how many targets are these receivers getting in a team session? Maybe a couple, a handful. So it's like if you drop one, it just looks like you had a terrible practice. To some people at least. So, I mean, look at all the data. Look at the end of the summer when you have, what did they perform over the course of all the games or all the practices? I mean, so yeah, there's nothing. That's why like doing the, what's the good and bad from practice. It's like, yeah, it's kind of like just more of like a title.
I mean, it's fine, and we're gonna do it, and we're gonna break it all down.
It's a break it down.
Just
from
remember
what's the good things. What are some of the bad things? Like, doesn't necessarily mean that like someone's going to be bad. It's just like, what's today? What happened today?
Right. So. And, it's the first, Tim Donaghy's crew says, Krug is hobnobbing with the 49er brass instead of locking in to give us insight. All right. Bob Sargent, who's a good friend of mine, has been for decades. I mean, literally, I've known Sarge since the mid-90s. He's one of my best friends in life. He came over, gave me a big hug. We hadn't seen each other in a while. He told me he's a grandfather for the first time. He showed me a picture of his grandson. And we talked life for a few minutes, and that just happened that it was in the middle of the team session. So I wasn't as honed in on the team. And before that, I'd been talking to Tim Ryan for a few minutes. And so these are people that I haven't seen for months in some cases, and so forgive me that I wasn't just absolutely zoned in on every snap of the first team session in a non-padded training camp practice on July the 26th. But my general sense of it was that I liked what I saw from the Niner. If you said, give me a general takeaway from the offense, the depth of the 49er weapons is better this year than in past years. Now they don't just have Christian McCaffrey. They got Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason, Ty Davis-Price, Kalen Laburn. I mean, literally 5 running backs that all kind of showed well for themselves today. And then at receiver, Brandon Ayuk looks amazing. Debo looks amazing. Jawan Jennings had a decent day. I thought Danny Gray looked pretty good. The guys I didn't notice were the young guys. I didn't notice Ronnie Bell. I didn't really notice Tay Martin, Isaiah Winstead, or the new guy, Chris Conley. I saw him do a little bit, but basically,
the Niners
I would say that the depth at wide receiver and running back was impressive, and quarterback.
They have a really, really good mix of ages on the team. They're not the Warriors with a bunch of old and a bunch of young. They're not too young. They really take advantage of those comp picks and just get a good player every year. So it seems like every class they've been able to develop young talent, and the team's just well-rounded.
Yeah, I mean, it's a loaded roster. They've got a super loaded roster. Lazy Television says, Krug hasn't gotten anything right this year. Yeah, right. I only told you in October when everybody else was saying that it was going to be Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. I told you the team's going to recommit to Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy's going to be the guy. That was before anything. That was before any OTAs, any mini camp, anything. And where are we on July 26th? Brock Purdy's the guy, and everybody else is backing him up. So I think I pretty much got that one right. He said 100% sure Brandon. He said 100% sure Brandon Allen wouldn't stay. What do you mean? I mean, Brandon Allen is. I didn't say anything that Brandon Allen wouldn't stay. I said Brandon Allen is going to stay as the third quarterback. He will not be on the practice squad, and I'll stay with that. He said thought Purdy would be on the PUP. I thought he would start on the PUP because I think most people thought he would start on the PUP. I knew Brock was going to try to make opening day. I didn't think he was over a month ahead of schedule. I mean, the fact that Purdy will be practicing tomorrow shows that he is over a month ahead. They were saying it was going to be 6 months. 6 months would have kept him on PUP for at least another 3-4 weeks. And he's beaten that by a month. So yeah, he's surprised everybody on that.
No one's sports takes are about how long an injury will last. I mean, who cares if you said that he might be on the PUP and he's not? No one really expected that. And what, are you a fucking doctor? Like, that's just
exactly.
It's a weird thing. It's like, if you're wrong about that, like, whatever, you know?
Bomber T says, Larry gets everything right, damn it. Thank you, Bomber T. I appreciate you having my back. Always Drip 805 says, I don't trust McKivitz at right tackle. Larry, he may be a good pass protector, but horrible run protection player. Let's give it some time. I mean, I don't believe that. I don't think McKivitz is going to be terrible against the run. West Virginia always had a strong running game. This guy was a major player on their offensive line. They've always had some good backs. So I don't think he's necessarily going to be as good as McGlinchey, but I won't lose my mind on day one of camp with no pads. First of all, running the football is about banging bodies, banging helmets. Let's see how the Niners run the football when there's actually how are you supposed to run the football when the defense knows where the ball's going and you have and there's nobody's blocking anybody. You're not allowed to really bang heads. So, I mean, once again, way premature.
Yeah, I mean,
okay. On the other side of the ball, I thought Drake Jackson looked really good. I thought Javon Kinlaw, believe it or not, looked really good. The thing that made me the most nervous about this practice is with no Nick Bosa, it just shows how thin they are at defensive end. I mean, Drake Jackson, I think, is going to have a nice year, but Cleveland Farrell and Robert Beal and Austin Bryant and Daryl Johnson, these are not Samson Ebukam, Charles Omenihu, and Jordan Willis. I think they need some help at defensive end. They're good at tackle, right? You got Javon Hargrave, you got Eric Armstead, you got Kinlaw, you got Givens, Kalia Davis, T.Y. McGill looked pretty good today, Marlon Davidson, Spencer Wagee. They've got guys. But at defensive end, that's my biggest concern. And I stood there, I filmed the defensive line, the individual session, the position drills. And, Austin Bryant's got skinny legs. Daryl Johnson doesn't look like an NFL guy to me. Beal is kind of he's athletic, but he seemed like he was going like 3/4 speed, and maybe he was. Maybe he was going 3/4 speed. Kerry Hyder's a little long in the tooth. Cleveland Farrell looks really unexplosive. None of those guys look as good as Jordan Willis or Omenihu or Ebukam. That was probably the biggest negative that I saw today, is that I was hoping that we'd get to camp and some of those backup defensive ends would look better. They didn't. So that's a concern. That's a major concern.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a complete inverse of how it used to be. Now they're super deep at tackle, and they used to be kind of lean there, and they just used to have many guys on the edge. So it's going to be interesting to see, because we haven't seen them kind of be in a like, what am I trying to say, like a lean spot on the edge. They usually had a lot of rotation guys that could fill. Now they're going to be relying on Cleveland Farrell, who today was out there starting since Bosa was out. So that's how you can pretty much gauge how they feel about him on the depth chart at the defensive end. It seems like he'll be the third defensive end, in that rotation.
Well, and it's a concern right. Because Farrell?
He's been all right. He's been decent. Yeah, Farrell.
Well, he hasn't been all right. He hasn't been all right. He's got 10 sacks in 4 seasons. He's been pretty below average. But the idea, I know Arden Key was much better with the Niners than he was with the Raiders, but just because you're going from the Raiders to the Niners doesn't automatically mean that you're going to, have some career renaissance. To me, Cleveland Farrell is, just a guy. He's pretty strong, but he's not overly quick. He's not gonna threaten the edge. He doesn't have big time speed. He looks more like a run defender. He's like a if you want to go to a 4D end alignment and play him inside, it looks like maybe he could do that. But he doesn't look like anybody who's going to threaten the edge as a pass rusher. I mean, there's a reason that he's got 10 sacks in 4 seasons. That's not good. I mean, we're talking about less than 2.5 sacks a season. So I mean, I think they need help on the defensive end, and it wouldn't surprise me if they add some guys as this thing goes along, just because they don't really have anything close. Like Ebukam is better than all of the defensive ends they brought in this year. Omenihu's better than all the defensive ends they brought in this year. Jordan Willis is better than all the defensive ends they brought in this year. So that's a concern. You lost maybe 1,000 snaps with those guys, and how are you going to replace those guys? That's a concern. What you're going to hear as a concern from other people which is really not a concern, is the Nick Bosa holdout. If Nick Bosa doesn't play a single down in the preseason, I'm fine with that. If Nick Bosa holds out until 7 days before Heinz Field, Niners-Steelers Week 1, I'm fine with that. Why? Because the reality is you can get seriously hurt in any of these practices, whether it be an Achilles, a knee, a meniscus, or whatever. You can go down in any of these practices. If they lose him, they lose a ton. So it doesn't bother me in the slightest that he's not signed. I wouldn't even put it past them to intentionally not sign him for 2-3 weeks, just because why risk it? This guy works out harder than anybody. Nobody's in better shape than Nick Bosa. The Niners know it. So he's in good shape. The only reason that you would want a guy in camp is if you thought maybe he wouldn't be in shape if he wasn't there. But Nick is going to be in incredible shape. And why risk it? Every single day that he's out on that practice field is a day that he could be lost for the year. And if you lose him for the year, your odds of winning the Super Bowl in Vegas drop precipitously. So why risk it? I don't think if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I want just a handful of snaps from Bosa in the preseason. I'm going to treat him the way Sean McVay treats all of his best players. I'm just sitting him out. So, they say, that he's going to get $33 million a year and it's going to be record-setting money. They say that they're still working on the deal. I'm skeptical. I think they just don't. I think they're just smart and they don't want to see him on the field because they know how valuable he is. They know they can't replicate what he does if he goes down. They know that he's going to go full bore because it's the only way he knows how to practice and play. And so the only way you can guarantee that he's not going to get hurt is don't sign him, because he's not going to show up. Shanahan already made the point. We know it wasn't. He didn't even need to make the point. We all know it's the case. When you're going to get the kind of money that he's going to get, you're not going to risk it. His agent's not going to put him out there and without that thing being signed. So just hold off, wait a few weeks. I would say I don't want to see Nick Bosa signed until middle of August. August 15th is when I'd like to see him signed, not before.
I mean, more snaps for
and don't fall for that. Don't fall for that's a big story. They need him here. You're gonna as soon as this holdout goes a few days, people are gonna be like, they need him here. They don't need him here. They need him on Super Bowl Sunday. They need him in the NFC Championship game. They need him in the playoffs. They absolutely their chances of winning the Super Bowl drop like a stone if he's not there, and they know it. So don't risk it. Don't put him out there. I don't want to see him on the field until August 15th.
Does anything in the contract have to do with showing up to practice? I mean, if he had a contract signed, would that mean that he couldn't not show up to practice?
Well, if he signed, what do you mean? If he's
because you're saying like, oh, you don't think it's because of they haven't worked it out yet. They just don't want to give it. They don't want to have him come out yet, or he can rest or whatever. If he signed a contract already, would he not be or could he not practice and stuff?
Well, yeah, they could do that, but then most of the time teams don't do that typically. But Kyle Shanahan already let the cat out of the bag yesterday when he basically said that there was some speculation about like Chris Jones is holding out for Kansas City, right? And every day that he holds out is a $50,000 fine. Because he's going into his third contract, that $50,000 daily fine cannot be waived by the team. Kyle Shanahan now Bosa's in a different deal. Bosa's going into his second contract, and the rules state that he can be fined $40,000 a day for practices missed during the holdout. But
they can waive it, right?
But it's waivable. And Shanahan let the cat out of the bag yesterday. I don't think he meant to, but he basically was like, it's no big deal. Like it's not going to make a difference. In other words, he told us without telling us that they're not going to. Nick Bosa will not be accruing $40,000 in fines every single day. They're going to waive it. They're going to waive it, and you can take that to the bank. Whenever he signs his deal, there's not going to be some back, log of fines that he needs to pay. But in Chris Jones's case, he's being fined $50,000 a day, and it's not waivable. Dave Lombardi tweeted about this today, and he put the first tweet out, $50,000 a day, and it's not waivable. And I said, you better check that. And he said back to me, hey, read the entire strand. And at the bottom of the strand, like 3 tweets down, he shows that it's a $40,000 fine every day for Bosa, and that it's waivable. So we had a little chuckle about that together in the media room before practice started. So Dave, I said, Dave, why don't you just eliminate the first two tweets because it was incorrect information? And he said, I wanted everybody to see the whole breakdown of how we got to 40,000 waivable fines. So I said, but that first tweet where you said it was 50,000 every day and not waivable got a lot more traction than your 3 tweets down tweet, which said it was a $40,000 a day fine and it was waivable. And he said, yeah, but I wanted everybody to see how I got to there and this and that. So anyway, we kind of laughed about that.
But yeah,
it was slightly misleading. But the truth is, it's a $40,000 fine for Bosa every single day, and the Niners have pretty much already indicated that they're going to waive those fines.
Part of the snippet that you might be referencing says the 49ers have placed Nick Bosa on the reserve/did not report list as he continues to work towards a contract extension with the team. Bosa does not count against the 90-man roster while on the list. That's per Lombardi. So that was reported on today. I have no problem with that. It's probably the last thing to worry about this offseason. Just gives more reps to other players. Nothing wrong.
I'll tell you one thing I saw today at practice that I've never seen before. Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner were juggling. They were literally juggling what looked to be almost like baseballs. Almost like if you hit in the cage, or if you go to some kind of a little outdoor batting cage, those dimpled balls, it seemed like they were juggling them. And obviously Johnny Holland felt like it's a new drill to quicken their hands. Haven't had a chance to talk to Dre or to Fred about it, but those guys were juggling. And Dre Greenlaw, talks about how athletic these guys are. Dre Greenlaw can flat out juggle. This guy he had 3 or 4 of these balls in the air, and he's just literally juggling in front of us. But that was a drill. I've never seen football players juggle on the field as a warm-up drill. But Greenlaw and Warner were doing it. And those guys were leading all the linebacker drills. I didn't watch tons of the linebackers today because I wanted to see the DBs and I wanted to see the D-line. But I got a little bit of some of the footage of Dre and Warner juggling. And I'm eager to ask them about it because I think it has something to do with trying to quicken their hands, hand-eye coordination, intercepting passes, so on and so forth. But that was something I'd never seen before.
I think we should read this one. This one was posted a while ago.
Zachary Kelway says, agree with Krug 90% of the time, but you're driving me nuts talking about Jennings. When Jennings blocks, the defender wants to quit football. He ain't going anywhere. Ray is gone. Plenty of returners. We'll see. We'll see. We've yet to even talk about Jennings today, but you're talking about other streams. You got to remember this, though. It's not just about Jennings. You also drafted Ronnie Bell, and last year you brought in Tay Martin, and those guys are good possession receivers too. And the one thing that we can guarantee you is that this is Juwan Jennings most likely his last year with the 49ers because he's going to make more money than they can afford to pay him. So, yeah, you're right. He's made a lot of big catches. He's got great hands. He's a good blocker. But doesn't mean that, you got to remember this. The 49ers have a lot of big-name guys headed towards, big contract numbers next year. And you also got to remember this. There are teams around football at the cutdown that are going to come knocking for players that are on the bubble. And if you like Ronnie Bell and Tay Martin, let's say you think Jennings is a 10, but you think those guys are an 8, and Rand Carthon offers you a 5th-round pick for Jennings, you're probably going to make that move. So that's why I've brought that up because Jennings is a possession receiver who, you're right, he's made big catches. He's a good blocker. He's a foundation piece. A lot of people really love Jennings, but Ronnie Bell has got great ball skills, and so does Tay Martin. So in a lot of ways, they're very similar players. And are the Niners going to go with the most expensive possession receiver on a team that has, Debo and Ayuk primed for bust out years? Maybe, but maybe not. And if it happens, Zachary, you're going to have to take that one back.
The way I see it is next year he's a restricted free agent. I don't know if they'll re-sign him or not, but it seems like they're trying to draft his replacement possibly in Ronnie Bell maybe. I mean, I could see it being a Kendrick Bourne situation where he's a good receiver, but are you going to pay the amount of money that sometimes those receivers command? I mean, Kendrick Bourne got I think like $30 million from New England. Yeah,
somebody's going to offer Juwan Jennings big money.
Yeah, it's a good. That's a good decision for them to walk away.
I mean, and you got to go look at Tennessee's depth chart. They've got DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks, and then a bunch of nobodies. And they could, Rand Carthon could easily call up John Lynch and say, "Hey, we'll give you a 5th-round pick for Juwan Jennings." And if they won't, the Niners, I don't think would do it. But if Ronnie Bell and Tay Martin have great camps, I think they would listen. Just something to look for.
Yeah, the Titans are starting Nick Westbrook-Ikhine at their slot.
Yeah, I mean, and Jennings is established, so anytime you suggest at the beginning of camp that an established guy potentially could get cut, people are like, "No, my God, no!" But Ray is a really good return guy as well, and Ronnie Bell might take. You're right, Ronnie Bell could take Ray's job as a returner, but Ray gives you a lot as far as gadget plays. He can be a running back, he can be a receiver. He's your primary return guy, so we'll see. We'll see. I will say this. I asked Brian Schneider, the special teams coach, during the minicamp. I said, "Tell me about your returners," because I was asking about Deshaun Jameson, and he said Ronnie Bell has looked incredible as a return guy. So you're right. It could be Ray and Ray getting, bounced for Ronnie Bell as a returner, and maybe Juwan is here, but it's not a lock.
If I were the 49ers, I would be getting as much as I could out of Juwan Jennings this year and then decide on that restricted free agent next year. That's how I would take it.
Well, and Juwan has made a lot of big catches for the Niners for sure. 49er Daddy says, "Larry, what happens if Brock Purdy looks awful tomorrow and Lance continues to light it up?" Well, that's the beauty of pro football. It's the ultimate meritocracy. I think they're going to start with Brock Purdy, but you got to prove it. You got to, that's the one thing. I mean, you got to prove it every single day. So, if he looks awful tomorrow, it means nothing. But if he looks awful consistently and Lance continues to light it up, Lance is going to be the starter and Brock's going to be the backup, because that's the way the NFL works. But I don't expect that to happen. I mean, it's like, why is Brock Purdy going to look awful? Exactly what is it about Brock Purdy that's going to look awful? The guy's really smart. The ball comes out on time with accuracy. He can process as well as any of their quarterbacks, if not better. So, yeah, if we can play the if game, if Brock Purdy looks awful and Lance looks great, then Lance will play. If Brock Purdy looks awful and Lance looks awful and Darnold looks great, then Darnold's going to play. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Nothing's etched in stone.
Have you heard about the newest 49ers update, the new sign player?
No, go for it. What do you got?
The 49ers signed former USFL linebacker, I can't even pronounce his name, Kayava Tezino. Yeah.
Don't know anything about. First of all, I didn't watch a minute of the USFL. I guess he's got some nice tape. He played for the San Diego State, 5-year college career, played for the Pittsburgh Maulers of the USFL, made 94 tackles, had a couple interceptions, 13 tackles in the championship game. That sounds good. Um, they lost Aziz Al-Shaair in free agency. And, I'll say this, though. If this guy can make the Niner linebacking core, he's going to have to be a hell of a player. But maybe he's a guy that is a practice squad guy. I think Marcelino, Jalen Graham, D. Winters, these guys are all. I'll say this about Tizino: the Niners like undersized linebackers who can flat out run, and I can't wait to see him. When I do see him, I'll tell you what I think. Yeah, after today's workout, Ian Rappaport, Niners are signing former USFL linebacker Kaiva Tizino. All right, I'll be honest. I've never seen Kaya Tizino play. Oh, good.
I was going to say another interesting thing that happened today was that I know we debated a couple days ago about Oren Burks versus whoever else, and we both kind of were on the agreeing side of that Marcelino McCrary Ball was our guy, right? Today, It seemed like Oren Burks was the guy out there. And then when I was thinking about it, I'm like, that kind of makes sense. He's the oldest guy in that group, right? He's the guy that's probably next up, at least for now. Did you see anything from that today?
Didn't study the linebackers today. I'll look at them more tomorrow. As I said, I was honing in on the D line and the secondary today. But this linebacking core is loaded. Greenlaw, Warner, Oren Burks. I loved him in college, and then he goes to Green Bay. He became kind of a special teamer, but he was a very good player at Vanderbilt. And Oren Burks is, he's 6'3", 230. He can play from scrimmage. He's not just a special teamer. So I would imagine, and you're going to give him the first go-round at linebacker because he's the veteran. He's played the most snaps. He has the most experience compared to Flanagan Fowles and their rookies. But that will be a good competition to watch as well. They have Greenlaw, Warner, Oren Burks, Flanagan Fowles, Marcelino McCrary Ball, Curtis Robinson, Jalen Graham, D. Winters, and now Tizino from the USFL. So, it's absolutely, they're loaded at linebacker. If he's anything like their other linebackers, he's probably really fast, really instinctive, and probably runs in the 4.5s.
Yeah, it's a very, very deep room. That's one of the big question marks in my head moving into cut down days. And why don't we finish off with one last thing? Brock Purdy comes tomorrow. Is there anything that you're looking for from him coming off of injury? Any slack that you're giving him? Anything that you're looking for? Obviously, the speed. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan responded to your question saying that on their GPS, he had the same speed. What are you looking for tomorrow?
That right there. Exactly that. I'm looking for the zip on the ball. Does he have the same zip? And I don't need to see a GPS to be able to gauge it. I just need to see him throw. So, and not throw just in drills, throw in the team drills. So, yeah, I'm eager to see Brock, not just everything about his throwing, his accuracy. The timing the timing, he's outstanding. The processing, he's outstanding. It's all about the accuracy. Did he lose any accuracy because of this elbow problem, this elbow surgery? Does he lose any zip on the ball? I mean, that was my question to Shanahan and Lynch. Shanahan joked maybe he's like Rookie of the Year, or he was hoping he's like the Rookie of the Year kid. But I don't, Lynch said, hey, the GPS guys say that his velocity is good. So that's what I'll be looking for, because any regression in that area will be a bad thing. Brock is really, really a great young quarterback prospect, I think. But what he doesn't have is 5 miles an hour on the fastball to lose. He's got requisite arm strength, and it's slightly above average. If it becomes slightly below average, that's going to be a negative. If it's significantly below average, that's going to be a major negative. And they can say what they want to say, but if what it looks like will tell us more. So that's the first thing tomorrow is exactly how much zip does Brock have on the ball? Does it look the same as it looked a year ago? That's what I'll be looking for.
Yeah.
What are you
fair.
looking for?
Well, I'm looking for what you're looking for because I won't be there. But what do
you want to see?
I just want to see the same guy. That's all I care about. Everyone wants to see. Everyone's probably going to hope to see someone like what you said. What's it called? The kid from the movie that had the stronger arm after he got injured.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen. I mean, as long as he gets back to the same way he is, and as long as he hasn't, some guys after an injury mentally aren't the same. Hopefully he's still mentally the same. He seems like a guy that would be pretty locked in. I'm not really worried about that. I tweeted out today, I'm 90% sure he's going to start week 1 after the news that was given a couple days ago. And I think that's how a lot of people are trending to think, at least. So
what do you think of BG Weiss? Is Kruger's too obsessed with Brock? Am I obsessed with Brock, Kev? No.
No, I don't think so. We barely talked about Brock today.
I'm not obsessed with Brock. I just know that he's their best quarterback. And so does Shanahan, and so does Lynch, and so do the players. And there would be a mutiny if they decided to go with anybody else as their number one quarterback. That's all subject to change, but based on last year, that's to me the most interesting part of today was, or of the first couple days here was, Tim Kawakami sitting down with Kyle Shanahan, and basically Kyle said that based on Brock's tape, and they knew he was the guy, and then when they reviewed at the end of the year his tape, it only cemented their view that he was the guy. And he's like, I felt that way, John felt that way, and the players feel that way. So, Trey Lance is a really good prospect, and people that are calling him a bust are wrong. But there's a big difference between you're not a bust and you should start over Brock Purdy after Purdy went undefeated and processed brilliantly and threw with incredible accuracy. And incredible timing. Brock's more advanced than Trey, and we saw it last year, and we're going to see it probably again starting tomorrow. And the players know it, and the coaches know it, and Shanahan and Lynch know it. So it's I'm not obsessed with Brock. I think if anything, there's a lot of people that are obsessed with what the price that the 49ers paid for Trey. That doesn't matter anymore. That really doesn't. That's like a footnote. And I've heard lots of people, but look what they've paid. And I saw Vish tweeting about this too. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they paid. All that matters is who's the best quarterback right now. They're inside their Super Bowl window. Purdy's their best quarterback, and it showed last year. And what Kyle said to Kawakami was that it's going to be virtually impossible for Trey or Darnold or Allen to beat out Brock if Brock's healthy. And that to me is obvious. And that's why I've been saying it since February that Brock's their guy. And in February I said they're going to recommit to Brock and likely move off of Trey. I thought it would happen by the draft. I hope it doesn't happen because I really would like to see them, keep both guys. But you kind of wonder how long, with them hugged up against the cap and then them being so talented with all these, great players in the future, how much longer can they go? Maybe one more year where they have Brock and Trey. But then you look at the reality of their situation. 6 years in a row outside of 2019, the Niners have used 3 quarterbacks to get through the regular season. So I would not be in a rush to trade Trey Lance. But I also, there's no way I would start him over Brock Purdy just because you invested 3 picks in the first round in him. So, if that's obsessed with Brock, then I'm obsessed with Brock.
I think that the reason why the debate has gotten so big this year is really because it's no longer like a Jimmy G starting over Trey because Trey needs to develop. Trey needs to play, and the 49ers need to win. So Kyle Shanahan's going to start the best quarterback he can. So in a lot of people's minds, if they're not starting Trey Lance, they're not really believing in him, which means that he might not be as good as we believe or everyone else believes. So it's kind of like a thing where it's like you want Trey to start if you want Trey to be good, because it's like, the 49ers are going to start the quarterback that they want. They're going to start the quarterback that they think will win the most games for them. But it's Brock after what he did last year. You can't not give it to him after what he did last year. And that's just where they're at.
You went to the NFC Championship game with Brock Purdy. Okay? You're not going to take the job away from him unless he's diminished. Now, if he shows in the preseason that he's diminished or that he's no longer the same player that he was, if he doesn't, it's not like they're going to go with him forever. It's a meritocracy. It's the NFL. But they're going to go with him initially. There's no question in my mind.
And they also want to be right. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to have to switch off. So they're not going to just wing it, They don't want to have to switch a quarterback third weekend. It kind of ruins the chemistry. So
No, but if Brock Purdy plays horribly in the preseason, horribly in practice, and Trey Lance looks like a reincarnation of Patrick Mahomes, they will be going with Trey Lance. This is the 100%. NFL. There's no favored anything. Everybody's about the W, and you have to do it on the field. So Brock starts the competition as the leader, and odds are he's going to wind up being the starter for the Niners week 1 at Heinz Field. But nothing's etched in stone. Nothing's official. And if Brock comes out and he's diminished, if he doesn't have the same arm strength, the same accuracy, if he's not the same player, he won't win the job. But they're telling you by making him the number 1 guy that they have looked at him and they feel that he is the same guy. Lazy Television says you literally have a video saying Allen wouldn't stay. You're hilarious. Wouldn't stay.
It's because of the money if he got cut and put on the practice squad.
Yeah, Brandon Allen will not be. This is Lazy Television. Try to understand this. This is real simple. Okay, I'm going to lay this out real simple. If you're on the practice squad, you make $207,000. If you are the third string quarterback, you're going to make the NFL minimum at the minimum, right, which is $750,000. If Brandon Allen is the Niners' third string quarterback, he will make $1,880,000. That's what his contract states. What I'm saying is he won't be here if he's not the 1, the 2, or the 3. Brandon Allen will not be on the practice squad. There are people that have said, "Oh, keep them all, man. Look how many quarterbacks you went through last year. Keep them all." No. They will not be keeping them all. Brandon Allen will not be the practice squad quarterback for the 49ers. He will either be the third string quarterback, or he'll be the second string quarterback, or he'll be somebody else's second or third string quarterback. So I'm not saying Brandon Allen's staying around. I'm saying if he beats out Sam Darnold, or if they trade Darnold or Lance, then Brandon Allen will be the third string quarterback. He has a contract that is absolutely in line with what NFL third string quarterbacks make. NFL third string quarterbacks make roughly $1 million. The Niners have signed him to $1 million contract, $1,080,000, as I just said. If he makes the roster, that's what he's going to make, $1,080,000, and he's most likely going to be their third string quarterback. My point is, if he doesn't make the roster, he will not be the 49ers practice squad quarterback, because he was the number 2 guy in Cincinnati last year. And if somebody will pick him off waivers and make him their third string quarterback, and be happy that they did. So unless he plays horribly, and then even then, I think he's got a real good chance to be somebody's third string quarterback. But he will not be here as a practice squad quarterback. That was
There's
what
not
you
a,
misunderstood.
there's not a quarterback on the 49ers that will clear waivers. So
right.
someone's going to
None
go.
of these four guys will be a practice squad quarterback, if that makes it more simple. Darnold won't be, Purdy won't be, Lance won't be, and Brandon Allen won't be the practice squad quarterback. They'll go through waivers. They'll be cleared. They'll be cleared. You know, they won't clear waivers. Somebody will pick them up, and the 49ers I think the 49ers very well could have a fourth quarterback on the practice squad, but it won't be Brandon Allen because he's not going to take an $835,000 pay cut to be the 49ers insurance policy when he could make $1 million to be somebody's third string quarterback. And most likely somebody may give him a number 2 job. So he's not look at the lazy television. Wait, Mark Hope says, Larry and Kev, how's it going? Why is so few Niner quarterback passes today? Shanahan said they want to take it slow. They want to take it slow. So today was an easy practice, low reps. I got to go back to lazy television. He says, Krug, lie all you want. Your posted videos say different. Will you apologize to Sam Darnold if he's the starter and plays lights out? What?
Sure.
Do you understand what he's saying?
I
don't think Sam Darnold. I don't. Yeah, I get paid for my opinion. I told you my opinion. My opinion is that Purdy's their best quarterback, that Lance is the second quarterback, and that Darnold is the third quarterback. I don't know how that's lying. Seriously. Lazy television.
Ignore it.
I think I might have to block lazy television, Kev. Do I block lazy television? I put him in timeout?
No,
I put him in timeout.
All right, whatever.
Lazy television.
Here's
Sorry.
another one.
Zachary Kelway. Can't wait to see what Shanny has in mind after a whole offseason scripting the offense for Brock and CMC instead of
Is that Miami?
Miami tennis court Jimmy.
Oh, missing in action, I think.
Oh, missing in action.
MIA.
What's tennis court?
He looks kind of like a tennis player, I guess. I could see that. He looks like, what's his name? Federer, maybe? Kinda.
I think Jimmy's gonna be better than Carr in Vegas. I really believe that.
That's not crazy to say that. Oh, we already read this one.
What's that?
Wait,
we read that one.
Did we already? Oh, wait. Yeah, we
read that one.
What about this one
here? Brother Bob, Kevin
Bob.
Kruger, how you doing, buddy? Pig in a pickle.
This is my biggest fan. I'm actually 100% confident that Brother Bob is my biggest fan.
Why is Brother Bob such a big fan of yours, Kev?
No clue. I have no clue. All I know is one time I joined Grant's stream, and he saw that I was in there, and he was like, Larry's going to trade you, and I was just going along with it. Maybe he thought that was fun. I don't know. That's all I know.
Dusty Gold, love to see Chase Young on this line with Bosa, Buckeye bookends. I'd love to see Montez Sweat. How great would Montez Sweat be? Kid Trickster, Krug Show. We've had a great day today, by the way. Outside of me getting sunburn, it's been a great day. We are at 20,000. Where are we at?
332.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Mine says 20,325. So 20,332. So hit like and subscribe. Yeah, how about that? 20,332. It's been a big day today on the channel. So what are we doing throughout camp?
Sponsors.
Yeah, let's shout out our sponsors. Marin Auto Glass, 415-883-3030, marinautoglass.com. You're driving down the street. A pebble hits your windshield. You got a crack in the windshield. What do? You call Marin Auto Glass, 415-883-3030. My man Saeed, they come out, they pop out the old windshield, they glaze in a new windshield, they sweep away the glass. It's a one-stop deal. You're in, you're out, and life is good. So check out Marin Auto Glass. Also, in the four corners of the screen, you see New York Style Sausage Company. The only sausage that I will eat is New York Style Italian sausage. They got all different kinds: Italian mild, Italian spicy, chorizo, breakfast sausage, you name it. Third string all pro says Kevin's telling Larry what to do now. Yeah, exactly. Now? Terradome says Krug.
This week on the channel, you guys should let us know in the comments right now. We've planned on doing an instant reaction to every camp practice, right? And then if you follow us on Instagram or go to YouTube Shorts, we post reels of the questions that Larry asks in the press conferences. But if there's a specific topic or angle you guys want to hear about this week from camp, let us know and we can do it. So,
I guess a certain question that you want asked at the podium.
Yeah,
like we may hear from Brock Purdy tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying, like, if there's any certain video that you guys want to see, like as a reaction of some sort, let us know and we could try to figure it out.
Chosen One says Krug called Brock Purdy before he was good. I remember hearing that early last year. Always Drip 805 says, has Larry done a call-in show? Yeah, we could do some call-in shows. Robbie 439 says, Larry always puts my questions up then never answers them. What? Robbie, that's not true. 209er says, I agree, Krug. Brock deserves to be QB1, but if he regress, things could change quickly. No doubt. Nothing is set in stone. If Trey Lance becomes Patrick Mahomes in front of our eyes this summer, Trey Lance will be the 49ers quarterback. Let's make no bones about that. That's the beauty of the NFL. I think that's why people love the NFL, is because it is the ultimate meritocracy. If the best players play, there's no such thing as, you know what, we're going with this quarterback, but the better guys on the bench. You know, the 49ers had Joe Montana. He got hurt. That's the other thing, too, that people always talk about. An injury, you can't lose your job to an injury. Really? Joe Montana lost his job to Steve Young. Why? Because Joe was hurt. So that kind of blows up that whole theory. If Joe Montana can lose his job to Steve Young, then anybody can lose their job to anybody. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, if the best quarterback in the world can lose it to someone like that, who's also a great Hall of Fame quarterback, anything's possible.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Young took that job because Joe was hurt. Steve seized the opportunity and ran with it. If Brock Purdy's hurt and Trey Lance plays great, Trey Lance is the guy and Brock Purdy's going somewhere else. That's the way it works. Clarsard 49, Larry's given Trey much praise these past couple of weeks. No way he's obsessed with Brock. I like both these guys, to be honest. I think Trey's a really good prospect. And I wouldn't give him away at all. In fact, I would need something really good to move Trey Lance. Either a day 2 pick or a day 2 pick and a player. It would have to be a lot. This idea of people saying, well, move Trey for a 5th round pick and he's a bust. And no. There's no chance. And you don't have to do it. You don't have to do that. You've got a cheap starting quarterback in Brock Purdy, and you can see this thing through to completion, right? You don't have to just because somebody comes knocking, you don't have to move Trey Lance. Now, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things. Mike Silver, I think, is talking about how he believes that Kyle Shanahan thinks that Sam Darnold is a great quarterback. I don't have the exact quote, but I did hear that earlier today that Silver either wrote it or said that he believes that Shanahan thinks that Sam Darnold is really special.
And why does he believe that?
I don't know. I haven't seen special traits from Sam Darnold.
Silver was the same guy. I have not. But Silver, I mean, actually, let me say this. I saw some video today that you took of Darnold throwing, and he has a nice zip to it. I mean, it looks nice.
He throws the ball well. I mean, there's no question. Yeah. He's a big guy. He's athletic. He throws the ball well. But you can say the exact same thing about Lance.
Yeah. But remember, Silver last or was it last summer? Yeah, last summer, said that Lance had the arm fatigue. Everyone ripped him for it, and then it became true.
Right.
So
Mike Silver's a really good reporter.
He may know something. You never know.
Well, he's got sources, and not only that, he doesn't just make stuff up. I mean, Mike's been doing this way too long to just make stuff up. He doesn't make stuff up. Ashley says, Ashley, good to see you. I haven't been a while. She says, Larry, did you think it was notable that when asked about Brock, Debo unprompted started praising Trey and saying he'll be a tough competition? No, I know Grant seized on that and has made it a big part of his video. Brock didn't play today. If Brock had played today and then Debo had gone on to this Trey conversation, that would have been one thing. But I just think Debo jumps questions quickly, doesn't hear them all the way through sometimes, and just kind of says top of mind. And I think he was feeling really good about Trey. And Kittle also had good things to say about Trey. And I don't think these guys are being, I think they're speaking honestly and truthfully. I think they realistically are very impressed by Trey's improvement, and I think they like him, and they see the entirety of camp is a gigantic competition, right? It's a competition. Whether you're D linemen, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, you're competing. So, but no, I know Grant seized on that. He was sitting right next to me, and he repeated it. A second later, he's like, he was asked about Brock, and he praised Debo, or he praised Trey. I just think he was asked about Brock, was thinking quarterbacks, didn't see Brock play today, and praised Trey. But I don't think Debo's also praised Brock quite a bit. So I personally, I think it is going to be a good competition. I think Brock's going to play well. I think Trey's going to play well. It's really going to come down to, I think all the quarterbacks are going to play well, and if they do, Brock will be the starter week 1.
I have to read this comment because it's kind of funny. Dusty Gold says, Larry's just the puppet for Kevin who really runs the show. And then to that, Third String Pro All Pro says, Kevin, what do you think? A call-in show? We know you're calling the shots. So they're saying it's up to me to decide if we're doing a call-in show or not.
Kev is kind of calling the shots. He'll say, Dad,
Sometimes.
I need this. I want this. I want that. I'll say, I'm not going to do this. Yes, you are going to do that. I'm like, whoa. Easy there, Cal Poly.
We got to win. We're running a business.
That's right. But yes.
Do you want to read the last supers, or you can keep going? But I'm gonna have to head out soon.
Yeah, well, no, we're gonna call it quits because we both have to get up early.
Yeah, there's a few super chats though that are still unread.
Let's see. We'll get to the bottom here for the super chats. Rob, did you already put this one up? Kevin is the mastermind behind all of this.
I didn't see that one. That's funny though.
Always drip 805. Let the fans do call-ins. Oh, we'll do call-ins. We can do call-ins later this week for sure. Tomorrow, by the way, I'm going to be on with Jesse and Vish tomorrow night, and then Friday night, Jack Hammer will be in the house. We'll do a co-stream, and maybe Friday night we'll do a call-in show. How about that? Me and Jack and some call-ins. Oh my God, Car Gods! Don't even say it. He says, Larry, rumor out there is that Bosa could end up with the Chargers with his brother. Yeah, right. I think it would be almost near impossible for anybody to afford both these guys. Mark Hope says, Larry and Kev, I know it's early in camp, but there has to be pressure on Kyle and John in 23. Cap issues on the horizon, expectations very high, I would think. Well, there's always pressure. There's always pressure in the NFL. But as far as pressure, like they're going to lose their job, no.
And the cap issues, like, what is that even? Is that really on them?
Well, yeah. I mean, the whole thing's on them.
John.
Yeah, and on Kyle too. But I mean, cap issues. Everybody's got cap issues. It's a hard cap.
I guess
but
you could take
you
that
can kick
as
that. You can always kick it down the line 1 year if you want. Nobody. You never have. I mean, you eventually you're going to have to pay the cap bill. But the cap goes up every year. You can restructure deals. You can cut guys. I think a year from now, there's a very good chance that Kyle Juszczyk could not be here. He makes big money. It won't be the exact same team across the board, but as far as, I mean, and they feel pressure. They're inside their window. Heck, George Kittle referenced it today. Brother Bob says, Kevin, be honest, does Larry obsess over Brock Purdy at home?
I don't think so. Honestly, I'm being 100% honest. We don't talk Purdy that much because there's not much to talk about.
I do have a Purdy t-shirt, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were kind of living up the fact that you were right. Not living up, but you were like kind of proud of yourself for being right, which was fair. But to obsess over him, like we don't talk about him because we've thought the same thing from the beginning, which is that he's deserved the right to play, and that's all you're going to talk about. There's not very much else to say.
Brock Purdy, and I've said it since February, he is the 49ers' best quarterback. To me, if you ask me, what is this about this offseason? This offseason is about confirming that Brock Purdy is their guy. Shanahan said it to Kawakami. We thought he was our guy at the end of the year. We went and did our end of the year review. I watched the film. John watched the film. The players watched the film. We decided that Brock's our guy. So they were reconfirming that Brock Purdy's their guy. And obviously it's about health and a bunch of other things. But, that's how they feel. And they should feel that way. He played the best. I mean, guys, the number one scoring team in the NFL last year was, Kev?
The 49ers.
No.
Oh, the
Kansas City Chiefs. And they scored 29 points a game. Brock Purdy was a rookie with the 49ers. In games he started, the 49ers averaged 33 points a game. 4 more points a game than the number one scoring team in football. They'd be crazy if they'd made anybody but Brock Purdy their number one starter.
They had the highest scoring offense. Yeah.
They had the highest scoring offense in the NFL by 4 points. Higher than the Chiefs, who won the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. If they started anybody else, it would be nuts. Michael says, sounds crazy. Khalil Mack was traded at 27 for 2 number ones. Should a deal not be agreed to this season, would you trade Nick for 2 number ones and a 2 and a player at the end of the season and draft Dallas Turner in 2024? Well,
I mean, that was the Bears, right? Or was that the Raiders? Is that the Raiders?
No, it's the Bears. The Bears traded him to the Raiders.
Bad franchise.
Right?
They weren't a winning
team.
So,
no, I don't think Nick Bosa is going anywhere. I really believe that Nick Bosa and the Niners have basically already agreed to a record-setting deal for over $33 million a year. I just really believe that the Niners, looking at their depth chart, know that they don't want to see Nick Bosa on the practice field. They don't want to see him in the preseason. And I think they know he's in great shape. Nobody works out any harder. And I just think that this is all about, preserving him. I think by August 15th, he'll be there. Personally, I don't want to see him before August 15th because I think you're just risking injury. Calba says, I'm still concerned with the kicker position. How strong is Moody's leg? We doing fantasy again this year. Are we going to do fantasy again this year? Moody's leg is enormously strong.
In some ways, we are going to do fantasy again. It'll be a little different, though.
There'll be no cheating this year. There was a controversy last year.
There will be no cheating.
Brother Bob says, Larry's going to block me, LOL.
No. Now that you're friends with me, you're chill.
Now you're friends with Kev. You're a made man.
You're friends with an admin. You're not going anywhere. Don't worry.
All right, one more from Lazy Television. One more from Lazy Television. He says, why can't you see Darnold's tape and come to that conclusion is beyond me. You throw interceptions when you're on bad teams and are playing from behind. Did you watch Sam Darnold in a game that they won? Carolina beat New Orleans in New Orleans. Sam Darnold's last NFL start. They won. They won the game. And Sam Darnold threw 2 interceptions in that game, fumbled twice. And one of the interceptions was on first down. So, I know there's a lot of people that are pro Sam Darnold. I'm just not one of them. I'm in a more of like a prove it to me on Sam Darnold. I'm not saying that Sam Darnold is a disaster. I'm just not seeing the special player that other people see. I see talent. I just don't see special. Do you see what I'm saying? I think Trey's got more upside. I think Brock's better.
Two things can be true. You can throw interceptions when you're on a bad team and playing from behind, but you can also just be an inaccurate quarterback.
And Sam Darnold, and believe me, some of those Sam Darnold interceptions absolutely are because he's been on a bad team. And I expect with the 49ers he will play his best ball. I just am saying that I haven't seen, I've been watching every practice. I haven't seen Sam Darnold look like worlds better than Trey Lance. And I went through the all 22 of Sam Darnold starts in Carolina. He had a couple good starts, but he had a couple pretty lousy starts. The last start that he made last year, he threw for 41 yards and turned it over 4 times. Mark Hope says, Mr. Kevin Kruger, your dad is a total stud.
Thanks. He's complimenting.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's thank our sponsors once again. MarinAutoglass.com, 415-883-3030, New York style Italian sausage. And let's not forget the title sponsor of the Krug Show, Pig in a Pickle. We did a stream I did a stream earlier this week on Grant Cohn's channel, I think on Monday. And there was 12 mentions of Pig in a Pickle on Grant's stream. Crazy. I mean, seriously, Pig in a Pickle we are so synonymous with Pig in a Pickle. But let's check out Pig in a Pickle. Marin will come back, hit a couple more chats, and then bolt for the door on the Krug Show.
So New York style sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it. Hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
All right, coming down the home stretch. It's almost 10:30. Kev's got to get up early. I got to get up early. So we're going to call it right here. Normally, I would go all night long, as you know. Third string All-Pro says, Larry, get the old man on the show. Who's the old man? Kev? Any guesses?
Like your dad? Is that what he's saying?
I'm not sure. My dad's no longer with us. I would love to have him on the show. How incredible would the late George Kruger have enjoyed this show? He would have enjoyed it immensely. I miss him a lot. One here. I want to get one here from Baller. Baller was in the house. Did you see that? Bay Area Baller. What's up, Baller? He says, "What up, fellas? Did I miss any info on Braden Willis? That's my guy." You know what, Baller? I didn't notice Braden Willis today at practice, but I promise you, I will do a deep dive tomorrow and look for Braden Willis. Everybody I didn't get to today, I will definitely look for tomorrow. I like Braden Willis. Oh, he's talking about Calba. Calba says Pasquale is the old man. Yeah, we'll get Pasquale on the show. We're going to be doing a little barbecue down at New York style Italian sausage, and we'll do a little interview with Pasquale and get him on. Robbie says, "Was your dad a Niners fan, Larry?" Oh my God, my dad was a Niners season ticket holder at Kezar. He loved the Niners. Loved the Niners. Kezar. My dad was a season ticket holder at Kezar. They gave up their season tickets in the mid-'70s. Just because he had a family of 6 and he was trying to not spend so much money on the games. But yeah, my dad in the late Lou DiMartini used to go. They used to go to Niners games every Sunday at Kezar for years and years and years. We got this one, Dusty Gold. Just goes to show you, Larry, you have a lot of loyal listeners. Well, we love all of our listeners. All right, Kev. Seriously, great day on the channel today. I got a little sunburn. I'll make sure I wear lotion tomorrow. I also have a white hat that I may wear. The only thing is, Kev, it's a Texas Longhorns hat. And Kyle's I know, you got me that hat. Do you think Kyle will say something? Kyle played at Texas. Do you think if I wear the Texas Longhorn hat, he's going to say something?
He played at UT?
Yeah, he played at UT.
No, he won't say anything.
And the reason that I have it is because Kev did a summer internship for Novo Construction in Austin and got me the UT hat. It's sweet. I mean, it's a sweet hat. Very, very nice hat. Mr. Irrelevant says, "Since I was a kid, I'm 30. Love you, Larry." And then Teasy says, "Digging the $5 sunglasses." And Always Drip says, "Those $5 glasses look nice." Oh, they are nice. They're rose-colored lenses. They're awesome. All right, guys, good stuff. Kev, you got a final thought on the live stream? We got 233 people still hanging in the room, a little bit over an hour and a half in. We've done an incredible day today. What is on the docket for tomorrow? Tell people what's going to be on the channel tomorrow, because we're going to do a camp preview, right, in the morning.
Yeah. The preview is just to kind of give give your thoughts on what you're looking for,
what we
that
may
day.
see.
So people can, have an idea of what you're looking for before you go into practice, and then after practice, you will get an instant reaction. One thing I do want to say is, if you guys have any suggestions, any comments about whether you like something, didn't like something, drop a comment. I read every single comment. I'm not sure if Larry reads every comment, but I read every comment. So I see all. So if you have, I notice when people say stuff like, "Oh, this was not good," or "the audio," or that, the other. So don't think that if you comment something, it goes unheard. I take it all into consideration. So keep that coming. And obviously just comment and like on the videos and the live streams. It really helps the algorithm.
How about the merch? People, if you go to the Krug Show page on YouTube, right now our camp reaction is, or obviously there's a thing showing this live stream going, but then there's also we did a training camp preview mailbag last week. You and I had over 6,000 views. And then, of course, you can click on the videos and watch videos. And then if people want to buy merch, you just slide across and go to store, and you can buy Krug Show T-shirts, Krug Show sweatshirts, and logo sweatshirts, and there's some cool stuff on there.
Yeah, so that will just link you to the website. The website's also linked in the description of this live stream and all the videos and most live streams. I'm trying to get it on all of them. But it'll link you to thekrugshow.com. The one thing that people might not know about is that the original Krug Show t-shirt that you are wearing right now is on the website in very limited stock. And I'm not sure if we'll ever restock that. We may, but if you want the original OG Krug shirt, it's on the website. It's on the website right now, and we will be hand shipping those ones out to each person if they buy them. And remember, every single shirt, every purchase, you get a custom video from Larry.
And Josh says, "Who's your co-host, Larry?" That's my son. That's Kevin.
What's up?
We got this one from Robbie439. He says, "Kevin is Illuminati."
Okay.
We got this one. Dusty Gold says, "Kev is pulling the strings. You're not paying him enough, Larry." Haruku Atoki says, "Man, who knew Kevin loved the tanning booth? Who knew Larry loved the tanning booth?" Yeah, great. Seriously. Clarsard's got a suggestion. I got a suggestion, Larry. More Kevin on the regular this season. I don't know about that. Can Kev
I
do
may
it
be
on the
coming
regular?
on the I may be coming on the post game shows.
That's right.
So.
On Sundays, we're going to have Kev on the post-game shows. And Baller. Baller's going to be with us as well. We're really fired up for that as well.
Potentially
808
another
Niner.
hit weekly.
Yeah. 808 Niner says you need a "You Lazy Larry" shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Can we get a year?
We got to work. Yeah,
We gotta work on that.
I'm working on that. I'm working on it. Don't
Mark
worry.
Hope says, "Kev, I work security at Salesforce Tower. I got your VIP pass." Look at that.
Interesting. I don't know why I'd ever need to be in there, but I've worked around there for sure.
Kyle McKiernan says Larry's dome is slowly going to match the 49er flag in the background. Training camp problem.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, seriously. See, I should have wore more sunscreen. And then we got this one from Third String All Pro. "Kevin, quit school and quit your job. You got a future doing this. Forget about student loans, LOL."
Fuck
All right,
it.
Kev, good stuff. Tomorrow, onward and upward, the debut of Brock Purdy. Until tomorrow night, Kev, have a great night. Everybody have a great night. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to